Hello and welcome back to the penultimate episode of PopCulture Reacts Does Lovebites Awakening from Abyss, as we are on track 11, Edge of the World.
I I was going to ask. We said before about the kind of metally uh, song titles and how we've liked them. A lot of them kind of do feel relevant to the album title as well, don't they?
Yeah, they
And I'm
they
not.
all fit that ilk of what you would expect from Awakening from
Yeah,
Abyss.
and in no way am I kind of trying to lean into the like this is a concept album. I don't think of it like that, but there is something to be said, isn't there, between musically having an idea and a theme to it, but kind of having that theme um, that runs throughout. So I am glad that it's not. Oh, we've got a cool title for this album, "Awaken from the Abyss," and none of the song titles would even kind of match conceptually what they have there. So yeah, I do think it's good, and I guess it depends on whom you listen to, but I think we said about one of the reasons why I think we both like albums is well, one, you get a lot of songs in them, which is often good, but is that desire to have albums where you feel like you're going on a journey with the band, be it like musically in the story they want to tell and things like that, and it is a bit of a lost art, I think, for a lot of bands, isn't it? I think a lot of bands just go, I will desperately record 11 to 12 songs and put them all in one place, take a photo of me, release. Like,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's
as you say,
nice.
it's it still is a big thing in metal
Yeah.
and rock and stuff, but obviously, like you dabble a lot more in the world of hip hop than I do. But over there, the mixtape concept is much bigger. Where it's here's three songs I've written this week. I'm putting them out all together
Yeah.
as a collective because this is where I am right now. 4 or 5 months later, here's another two, three songs or
And
whatever.
and I think to a degree, like one of the things that worries me, and I say worries, I don't stay up at night thinking about this, but if I do think about it, is with the change in the music industry. So the way that it delivered. So when we were kids, we'd potentially buy a single, but ultimately that was the teaser to get you to buy the album. But of course, now with the way that music is delivered, very much a combination of streaming and downloads. Um, I feel like that linked together album will feel more special going forward because a lot of the time people probably aren't even thinking of an album. They're going, if I repeatedly release songs, hopefully I will get the recognition or the fame that I so desire rather than the old school model. So yeah, it's just really nice to be tinkering in the world. And we said like 2017 for this album, so that is in this era, and it's just lovely to think that there are still people who are doing that thing that I love.
Yeah, yeah, it's so obviously for myself, the big ones recently has been the Metallica album, where it's like you get a couple of songs dripped out, but you wouldn't go and buy them as singles because you're just gonna pre-order and wait for the album
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get it as a whole. It's the same when like Ghost do stuff. It's like they will do their end of cycle EPs, but you will get that one hit of a single before the album comes out to build the excitement. Ooh, new album. Ooh,
yeah,
because you want the album. And
yeah,
I mean that's one of those of it's good to, as you say, it's good to see that there are bands that are still
yeah. I
of that
mean,
ilk, because back when we were kids, at a push, you might get two singles before the album is released, but usually that second single is coming out when the day the album comes out as well.
and like from the real pop side, maybe a bit less of a eye on the album. There was a lot more in kind of get your single to number one and things like that. But that was the big model for most bands in most genres, wasn't it? Is your singles and I know that, like a lot more to it than this, but your first single was almost your trailer, wasn't it? It was your
Yeah.
chance to grab the attention of people who probably wouldn't have bought your album to come along, join the ride, and buy my album. But yeah, I don't know. I love it. Probably one of the reasons why I said to you like I want to do more albums on here is yeah, I do. I love an album, me, and I miss. I think I miss it. It's too easy for all of us now to kind of go onto Spotify and listen to a discovery list, playlist, whatever. Then maybe kind of go, what's the album like, hey kids?
Yes. So, shall we go to the edge of the world?
Let's blimmin' well do it.
Let us go.
Why do we want to hate? Deceiving lie, hurt each other. Why does it never end?
So were you taken to the edge of the world?
I was taken there in a style in 2 song stylings because up until the which does the edge of the world bit, that was November Rain. That was peak GNR power ballad, standing on a piano slash doing his widdly widdly solo, and then coming out
I'm
of
using the
that,
term widdly widdly for everything tomorrow.
and then came out of that into where Iron Maiden do their super epic 15-minute mega songs. It's like I like both of these things. They've put them together and they've gone, this is our version of it, and it works perfectly.
Is it? And I kind of asking this in a really, is it? Is it? Would it have worked as 2 songs? Like, could you have cut that? Like, could that almost be 2 tracks in there? Because there is obviously that transition. It's more of kind of I don't know is the honest answer, and
You
I
you
just
could have
wonder whether
you could have done it in a like, I don't know how into Pantera you are, but there's on one of the Pantera albums there's songs. And it's gonna bug me because I can't remember what the song's called. 2 seconds. Let me get my Pantera playlist. My Pantera up
let
on
me
my
get
phone.
me Pantera diary out. Day 17. Listen to. uh,
Suicide Note. Song called Suicide Note Part 1, Part 2. So
chirpy
Part
little
1,
number of.
I know.
Yeah.
So Part 1 is very slow, sounds very much like a country song, but then it just goes brutally heavy at the back end of it. And they do split it into 2 songs and have Part 1, Part 2.
Yeah.
And Avenged Sevenfold have done the same thing as well on one of their songs, where I think you could, if you wanted to make extra tracks on the album, split it and have a Part 1, Part 2 of The Edge of the World.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't make any difference because you're still going to have it flow from one into the other. So,
Well, and I am a big fan of in song transitions. It is something that I find really catches me a lot of the time. Uh, I don't think it's necessarily anything to do with attention span. I think normally, and very much so, it's kind of the when a transition happens and when multiple transition happens. Watching any of our Maximum the Hormone videos, like if done well, I kind of go yes, yes, and it's that layers upon layers upon layers, and showing what you can do, but finding a way to do it without feeling like you're just throwing all the shit at the wall and see what
yeah.
sticks. For me, and I think one of the reasons why I'm wondering it is I like the second half of the song,
Mm.
and the first half is, and by no means like obviously it is from a production talent wise but I do not like the first half of the song. Um, I think the fact that you compared it to November Rain is pretty much the advert for why I don't like the first half of the song. Like, because I despise that song. And yeah, I think maybe it would work for me as 2 songs because then I could kind of
Just jump in at that part that you like.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it sounds a bit mean. Yeah, I could almost skip that, or I wouldn't be trying to kind of figure out in my head is the second half, does it outweigh the first half? That and again, I'll go back to it. That is just a style I do not like generally and doesn't massively resonate with me. And I think we've had a lot of, and certainly as we've got to the tail end of this album, I think the vocals have become more and more noticeable for me. And that I think more and more focused. But yeah, I don't know. I think on a ballad like this, I wasn't a fan of the vocal delivery either. It sounded more. I kind of want to go. There was a lot more R&B and soul elements to her vocals on this one. But that area of the world of R&B and soul singing, I'm not a big fan of either. Like I'm not saying she sounds like, but I think the delivery was like that could have been the delivery of like a Whitney Houston song to me at certain
Mm.
points in that. And yeah, I'm not a big Whitney Houston fan. So yeah, I think a tale of two halves for me. And I think when it transitions, I started to enjoy it a lot more. But then also I'd had a considerable chunk of time of a song that I personally wasn't enjoying to get to that point. So yeah, for me, that my least favorite so far on the album.
So I do like a hair metal power ballad. So I don't mind that beginning bit, and it said, November Rain as a song itself, because it's been played to death and I've heard it far too much, can do without hearing it. That sort of 80s hair metal power ballad, the sort of thing that Extreme do, or Poison,
Yeah,
bands like
yeah.
that, I do quite like them. I know Captain New Metal likes a power ballad.
Well, and I sort of say like I don't think historically power ballads have really been my thing. Although that's not to say that I guess in every sort of music, isn't there, that um like let's say there are 1,000 power ballads, probably there are 100 if I listen to every one. Oh no, let's go lower than that. There's 20 that I would love, but that's a smaller ratio than I might like with certain other music genres. So yeah, it is a tougher sell for me, and yeah, this one not for me. I guess is probably the most honest answer to it. Is nothing against the quality of what they did, just not for me. Not something that I found massively enjoyable.
So what we do now know is, if you want to torture him, not just new metal, power
Oh God,
ballads.
I forgot. I should have said that. I will say comparatively, I think I'd rather listen to a power ballad than your choices of new metal. Let's give the fans a chance if they want to pick out something. But yeah.
As always, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all the YouTube things. Other than tormenting him with power ballads and new metal,
Bring it on. Bring it on. I always say we'll react to anything, and we really will. And yeah, as I say, there will be some stuff that I will find that I'm sure I will love. But I just think the ratio is a lot smaller on those sort of songs than some others.
and we have one more of this album to
Yeah,
go, and it is,
Bravehearted, isn't it?
yes. So we'll be back very shortly.
I'm imagining it's a song about what happens if Mel Gibson gets his hands on you. You get bravehearted, but we shall see. We shall
That could
see.
that could go very dark.
Yeah, yeah.
But until then, goodbye.